Welcome back to Real Phonies, where we take a love for movies and television and combine it with very little knowledge about movies and television. I'm your host, Christian. Joined with me, as always, are my co-hosts, Joseph.
Hello.
And Jehu.
Wow.
I tried to think of a meta way to do the introduction, and nothing came about my head because we're talking about arguably the most meta shit I've watched in a long time, She-Hulk. At least... Did we do an episode on like the first 3 or 4 episodes?
I think we did. I was trying to figure that out. Did we do the first 2 or the first 3?
I think we just did the first 2.
That's what my heart says too.
I really got on board with episode 3, whereas when we did this, the first one, I sort of was only partially on board.
Yeah, I know we didn't know how many episodes there was, or we probably could have known. We just chose not to because that's kind of our shtick. But I know we were discussing whether the Emil Blonsky thing was going to be the entire show, and it wasn't at all.
Right.
No. So yeah, we're talking about She-Hulk, which is over now. Guys, I fucking love this show. I thought it was great. The ending may have been a little too, like, out there for me, but it wasn't enough to, like, knock me off. I was fucking in on the whole thing. There's a joke about Hulk smashes buildings, she smashes fourth walls, and sometimes Matt Murdock. Shit cracked me up.
Outstanding.
Yep, I fucking
the
laughed.
The whole series would have been worth it just for that joke.
Yeah,
Right.
I laughed for like 5 fucking minutes after that shit. I'm all in. Give me more Jen Walters. I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. I really liked this a lot. You know, you talked about the last episode maybe took it a little too far. I think it took it just far enough. You know, I can think of other precedences where shows have done breaking the fourth wall episodes that had no history of that. You know, Northern Exposure did one. Moonlight's finale was that. So, you know, this one, it had earned it. It had basically done little bits of it up until that point, and then it just went for it in the last episode. I liked it a lot.
I mean, look, I do think the ending kind of hammers home that it's nobody's stories but Jen Walters. Like, it doesn't really matter the mechanics of anybody else's stuff if Jen Walters can just go fix it whenever she wants to. But I also do feel like the fourth wall thing was seeded, and they had been using it sparingly for most of the season, and it was fun to see him just get loose with it.
Right.
I mean, we said our things, so I think we're all better than Transformers.
All better than Transformers.
Spoilers.
Sure.
I really enjoyed the fact that Kevin Feige let himself be the butt of the joke, but still refused to be in the show.
Right? He only let himself be a little bit of the butt of the joke.
Yeah. He's like, I'll let you do it, but I'm not going to. And, like, not even a ball cap. Like, you can't even put a fucking hat on the thing. Like, we're not.
It would have been so much funnier.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he mandated that they could not do it. There was a funny bit, though, that I heard they had talks with Ed Norton for coming back to this show to play.
No way.
Yeah, for the intro, because so much of his movie is based off that 70s show. So
Right.
But it fell through.
Man, I could not have loved something more than that intro.
I thought about you the whole time.
Yeah. I mean, I liked the whole thing, but the rest of the show could have sucked, and I probably would have given it a better than Transformers just based on that.
Yeah.
So my question to you, you fellas, is: do we love or do we hate? Are we indifferent that the villain of this show is internet fanboy culture?
Well, so that's I guess that kind of touches on one of the things that I wanted to talk about with this show. Is I feel like I'm going to use a term that is heavily loaded, and I don't feel like is ever used besides in a derogatory context. But I do feel like this show has a pretty aggressive feminist agenda. I really do. I feel like the showrunners at the start of this, having seen all the shit that's been going on with all the female-led, superhero nerd bullshit that's been going on for the last 2 years, said, it doesn't matter how we couch this. People are going to be mad. They're going to call it feminist horseshit anyway, so why don't we just lean into it? And I don't know. I really like that they just kind of double down. It's like, it's damned if we do, damned if we don't. So we're just going to do. And fuck you guys. And I definitely feel like making the internet fanboys the villain is a part of that.
I fucking loved it. Like I legitimately, I cannot stand this. I don't even like the word toxic. Like it's just it because toxic, in my opinion, doesn't really do it justice. Which is that the irony in all of this is that you're being childish about a thing for children.
Right. Right.
You're being, there's all the terms gatekeeping, but truthfully, all it is you're just being a whiny brat about something that is literally for whiny brats.
Right.
And I appreciate that it gets called out, but not just like called out in a statement on Twitter. Like, you spent a significant amount of money to make a fucking show that said, hey, listen, just shut up. That is way more effective than like being like, we stand with our actors.
Right.
That's important, but this is way better in my opinion. It's much more effective of a statement.
I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I don't feel like this is a particular like brave stance we've taken here. I don't feel like we've really dissected or broken down the roots of the issue, but at the same time, why not? Give the lady a win. Fuck these guys.
First of all, I agree with everything both of you said, even when you disagreed just now, because I'm so sick of the whiny fanboy, but I'm also so exhausted by the process.
Yeah.
I keep thinking of this quote from The Silence of the Lambs, when Hannibal Lecter says, when the rabbit screams, the wolf comes running, but not to help. I feel like the rabbit is like inclusivity and equality, and the wolf is Disney. You know what I'm saying? Like I hate the guys who are mad that She-Hulk twerked, but also they were playing exactly the part they were supposed to.
Yeah.
That was put in there to make those dudes mad, to make those dudes go on the internet and complain about it, and to make engagement, to give free publicity for the product. And, if you're a dude like that, if you're a guy sitting in your basement who's pissed off about this show, the best advice I can give you is the next one, just shut the fuck up.
Well, I was just saying, what's so good about that opinion, though, is what people did not realize at the time is Disney put that intentionally in there for them to whine and complain, because they were showing you who the villain was 5 episodes.
Right, totally. I mean, 100%. It was set up.
You were part of the plot of the show, whether you realized it or not. But also, to your point, I don't know that I always like or feel good about when a major corporation or whatever takes these stances, because I know they don't believe it.
Right.
I mean, that's her. You saying that kind of takes some of the wind out of my sails, because one of the things I like to get is kind of this idea of double down, fuck the people who are mad about it, whatever. But the idea that this.
I mean, I want to say 100%. Fuck the people who are mad.
For sure. But the idea that. Instead of that just being a bold creative choice, it is, just kind of capitalizing on the outrage culture that is what drives people to content these days is fucking. I mean, I think you're absolutely right, but it also kind of makes me a little sad when I think about it.
If we release She-Hulk season 2 tomorrow, and there was no outrage about it, Disney would shit their pants in panic.
You're so right.
Because this is part of how things are promoted now, and even though there's a side of it, I am definitely on. I'm also just exhausted by it.
Yeah. I don't think this solves
that
the
said,
issue
but one more thing
sure.
About She-Hulk twerking in particular. Anybody out there who says that She-Hulk, would never twerk, I assure you, I have read more She-Hulk comics than you, and I assure you that if twerking was a thing in 1992, John Byrne would have had her do it for an entire fucking issue.
Well, it's so isn't there are like times where, especially when he was in charge, that the character of She-Hulk like breaks the fourth wall and talks directly to him in the comic, and I thought that was a really fun, like her doing it to Kevin Feige in the show was like a really 100%. Fun callback to that.
I mean, probably his most memorable issue was the naked jump rope issue, which a lot of people look back on as being super sexist and stuff like that. But in actuality, it would totally fit in as an episode of this show, because the entire issue is a commentary on, fanboy like sort of sexualization of comic characters.
I mean, like, to change gears a little bit here.
I was about to say we went in the deep end on this one. I don't know how we're gonna dig back out into the smaller.
I guess there wasn't
details.
a good segue out of that.
I'm just changing it. How do we think Jen fits in with the rest of the MCU now? Because I don't think there's going to be a She-Hulk season 2. I just think she's going to be like, it sounds like this fucking new Captain America movie is a Hulk movie. So, like, my question to you is, how does a character that breaks the fourth wall and just stomps into Kevin Feige's office and changes things, how does she fit in?
It's funny because that actually does sort of go back to what I was just saying, in that when she was doing those really fourth wall breaking comics, she was also like in the Fantastic Four and the Avengers and things like that. And when she was in those comics, she just didn't break the fourth wall.
Mm.
I'm going to make a bet right now that no one will bet against me on, that there's going to be a scene in a future Marvel movie where Deadpool turns and speaks to the audience and She-Hulk says to him, "You see them too?"
That seems highly likely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope you're wrong about that, Christian, because I really like the show, and I don't necessarily want. Not that I don't think that she would fit in well with other characters, but I think she is plenty enough to carry the story.
I just really hope there's more, because there were episodes I liked more than others, and I would have liked to have seen more of them.
Yeah.
The episode where she fights the demon. To me, the demons, that was the one that I wanted more episodes to be like, where it was a courtroom case led to superhero hijinks.
It is wild. We talked about this in episode, we talked about episode 1 and 2, but it is wild that these guys do not know how to write a courtroom a drama, despite the fact that they took on this show. It's not that hard, guys. It's not about the law. You just write a little sermon, and it's just got to loosely tie into whatever the case, and it doesn't matter what the actual law is.
I feel like there's got to be some people out there who wrote some Alan Beale episodes that are looking for work. They have the inroads. They know Alan Beale's on-screen boyfriend and off-screen husband.
I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm just really hopeful, but I hope that's more Daredevil Born Again than Daredevil Netflix.
Well, 100%. We haven't even talked about that. How fucking cool was Daredevil?
So cool.
I mean, look, cool. I don't love the costume, but I love pretty much everything else.
Fuck you. I
love the costume. The thing is, that costume is not supposed to look great.
Yeah. He is blind.
Right. Exactly. I definitely hope that Daredevil is Born Again in name only, since we already did the Born Again story in Daredevil season 3. And I know this is a reboot, but let's just not do something we already did again. But I loved him in this show. Obviously, Disney had a better budget than Netflix, because the action with him looked a lot better, a lot more jumping, flipping around. Still got to do his hallway fight.
I was about to say they definitely kind of heightened him, whereas the Netflix Daredevil, I think, is supposed to be very grounded.
Right, 100%.
He's a little bit more enhanced, I would say, in this one.
Netflix Daredevil could just get his ass kicked by a guy, or
absolutely,
you're going to have to call in like Spider-Man to kick his ass.
Also, Charlie Cox is sexy as shit in this.
Yes.
I never felt anything but boredom towards him when I watched the Netflix show, but he's handsome, he's charming, he's got that little smirk he does. It's like, oh, damn, I'm kind of in it too.
Yeah, apparently he looked all right when you turn the lights on.
Yeah, I guess
that's not always the case.
I think the big thing is he looks like he's actually having fun.
That's also true.
Right.
I mean, obviously, Charlie Cox loved playing that character. It's certainly his want and willingness, and the way that he always connected with the people who campaigned for him to return to the role. It seems like he likes playing that guy. But it also seems like this is the version of Daredevil that he wanted to play.
Right.
Well, yeah, that was great. I think he'll get to play more of it.
Yeah.
What did we think about the Hulk's son?
Dude, Scar looks stupid as fuck in this.
He looks so bad. That's a pretty cool character that they just turned into a Beavis and Butthead joke or something.
I don't know if it's because there's no one cast and they just went with like the most generic looking Hulk person face possible.
I also feel like this is nerd baiting situation in the sense that, like, I don't know this, but just anecdotally, all of the toxic nerd people I know they just want Planet Hulk, man. Just Planet Hulk. And the idea of just like throwing away one of like the main characters that as like an off joke at the end of this series is, I think, pretty great.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't actually know that it's fucking real. Like I don't know that we'll ever see him again. So the big rumor is that Captain America: New World Order is basically, it seems like, leading to World War Hulk, or is a World War Hulk movie, which feels kind of shitty for Sam Wilson. But obviously, the leader's coming back. Rumors he's the villain. It seems like both Bruce and Jen will be in it. Harrison Ford was confirmed yesterday to be Thunderbolt Ross, so probably getting Red Hulk in there. I don't know how this character fits already, like with all of that. Like that's a lot of fucking people. And I get that maybe there was a comic presence. I'm saying on screen, I don't get the fucking point.
Right.
Also, I feel like this is Disney's opportunity to, I don't know if be less racist, but at least be more racially equitable, in the sense that I know there are people who are mad, like, why is Black Panther the only superhero that can like actually just die? You know, not like doing some kind of cosmic Infinity Stone related thing, but just die. And I don't think that's an unfair point, but like Thunderbolt Ross was definitely like I feel like your scapegoat to be like, oh, he can die too.
Right.
Because who cares? But no, I guess he's got to come back. Thunderbolt Ross is fucking essential.
I mean, there are other characters in Hulk canon who could have just stepped into his spot. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I am glad, and this is something I kind of want to do an episode on, but I am glad at the very least they did just go ahead and recast him and not make some inhuman computer monster of William Hurt to look awkward in 3 scenes.
I mean, that's super fair.
Terrible. I don't want to get off topic here. Fucking Harrison Ford is mind-boggling to me. Am I excited to see it? For sure I am. I just don't get it as a business decision.
I think he'll have a nice-looking mustache.
No, I'm sure his mustache is going to be cool as fuck.
And he'll finally get to play a character as grumpy as him.
Yeah.
Can you imagine trying to get Harrison Ford into one of those dot suits? I would pay $1,000 of my own dollars to just watch footage of somebody trying to talk him into wearing one of those.
100%. If you put the movie that happened in one theater and just footage of that in the theater next door to it, but charge twice the price, there's no way I wouldn't pick that second.
I don't know why this made me think of this, but how fucking good is Tatiana Maslany in this show? Like, she's fucking great.
I mean, really excellent.
She's great, and she's exactly what carries the parts that don't work. You know, when the CGI is bad, who gives a shit? Because she's charming.
And that's the thing. Like, I don't feel like there have been a lot of shows so far that have been capable of being carried on a one man. Like, you know, I think the Captain America Falcon Winter Soldier was on the relationship between Sam Wilson and Bucky, which I think works. They have a fun dynamic. It wasn't the best show, but it's fine.
Right.
You know, Loki was definitely Loki and Owen Wilson. It wasn't
100%
for sure. Like, that's definitely like the strength of it. She doesn't need somebody to play off of. She's very good on her own.
Right.
I think I hope they recognize that is a valuable commodity going forward, because they don't have a lot of people with the same kind of star power I feel like they had in you know, the earlier what do we call these fucking things? Not seasons. Phases. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. It's maybe a bit worrisome, actually.
It is a little bit worrisome.
Right.
Anything else on She-Hulk?
No, it fucking rocks. Watch it.
It's really good.
I can't wait to see more of this character. I hope there's more seasons of this show, or at least more seasons of a show featuring her.
Yeah. If you haven't watched it, go out and watch it right now. It's on Disney Plus. They're like 20. They're not even 30 minutes. They're like 25 minutes. It's fucking great.
Right.
So cool. That's She-Hulk better than Transformers. What have we been watching the past week, guys?
I haven't watched nothing. I went on vacation.
Oh yeah, how was your cruise?
I went on a cruise. I went on Disney's newest ship, The Wish, and it was very relaxing. I bought a pass to go to the spa, the adults only spa, on Saturday for my wife and I. Adults only spa, better than Transformers. There is the Disney Wish is different than a lot of cruise ships in that there are 3 different restaurants that are themed, and you rotate them every night. So the first night is Worlds of Marvel, which is an Ant-Man themed restaurant, and it kind of blows. The food is fine. It wasn't great. The Ant-Man show that's like interactive mysteriously brings back Ultron. Ultron's alive and well in the MCU somewhere, I guess, which is fine by me because I love that character, but doesn't explain it. It's fine. The whole thing was not, it didn't hit for me. It was okay. But the second night you go to a restaurant, I went to a restaurant called Arendelle, which they do a live like dinner performance of Frozen while you're eating. This shit kicks for me, hits on all cylinders. I fucking love that one. That was great. The last night is like Gatsby theme, and it was okay. There's nothing special about it. Food was pretty good. The only thing I will add anyway is that I've been on other cruises, and there's of course cruise ship entertainment, and generally I believe that I am a better musician than everyone I've ever seen on a cruise ship. I did not feel that way about this one. The shows, there was an original show, and then there was Aladdin, and there was Little Mermaid. All of them were pretty good. And the people who like just sit around the cruise ship playing piano and playing guitar and shit were all pretty talented.
Cool.
So I drank a lot of alcohol. I got a massage, and I spent like 12 hours in a spa. I felt very relaxed. I slept on a variety of chairs. It was a great time.
I mean, look, Christian, I know you and I know more than most that if you go to college for music, your 3 options are perform, which is a very, very small percent, teach, which is a very, very large percent, or cruise ships.
Yeah, I got asked in college. It's funny you should say that. I got asked to be in a cruise ship band when I was in college, and I said no.
It's the only 3 options.
Yeah. But it did make me think, this made me think about it, because I was like, well, fuck, if I could do it on this, like, this is a pretty luxurious little gig here. But yeah, good times. Oh, and the Star Wars bar, unfortunately, kind of sucks. I didn't even like get a drink. I wasn't very impressed with it. But so yeah, that's it. Disney Wish, better than Transformers.
Hurt?
On this show before, I've talked about a documentary series on Vice called The Dark Side of the Ring. It's, basically about horrible things that have happened in wrestling, shady things that have happened in wrestling. It's the biggest hit that Vice ever had, but for some reason there's some question as to whether or not it's going to come back. But they're currently doing sort of a spin-off show called Tales of the Territories, which is essentially the days before the WWF and Vince McMahon destroyed the territories. Each region had their sort of own wrestling promotion and their own local stars. And there's guys that sort of would tour the various ones, and they'd trade talent, stuff like that. But they've only done 2 episodes so far. And they've both covered the Memphis territory, mainly known for being the home of Jerry the King Lawler. Most people know Jerry the King Lawler is just talking about tits on commentary on WWE, but he, in his time, he was the most over good guy in his territory. People just fucking loved that dude in Memphis. The first episode is, totally just an overall overview of the Memphis territory, and it's okay. But the second episode is the one that's really great because it covers the Jerry the King Lawler, Andy Kaufman feud. Most people have a vague knowledge of this, of that at one point, inexplicably to all his friends in Hollywood, Andy Kaufman decided to wrestle. He went to Memphis and started doing a gimmick where he was the intergender champion and he would wrestle women. and it's fucking hilarious. And it was during the time where people didn't know that wrestling were staged. So people would lose their fucking mind over this shit. They would riot. Still the most well-known clip of David Letterman ever is where Jerry the King Lawler slaps Andy Kaufman. And this episode's the story behind all of that. And everybody should really check it out. It's very, very well done. Cannot recommend it highly enough. That's it. That's what I got.
I know you told me about the Andy Kaufman thing before, but I had totally forgotten about that. And it's very funny.
I mean, even if you don't watch this episode, it's really fun to look up clips of that because he's so into it.
That's
the
way
he says Memphis, Tennessee when he's making fun of it. I just love more than anything.
Outstanding.
Kurt, isn't this also one of like the bajillion things The Rock has produced?
Correct. Yes, The Rock and I forget someone else, some other wrestler went into partnership with the Dark Side of the Ring guys to produce this. And The Rock does like a voice intro. I'm assuming when we get to the WWF territory, The Rock may do some actual on-screen appearance, but so far we haven't seen that.
Yeah.
I don't have too much. Started the whole fall season of anime, which I'm sure I'll talk about the good ones at some point. But they did, I say it's a new one, but they come out like every 6 months or so. There's a new Gundam show, which anybody who's, inexplicably unfamiliar with the concept, it's the show where people get in giant robots and fight other people in giant robots. If you've seen Pacific Rim, it's because Guillermo del Toro, at some point in his life, watched a Gundam show.
100%.
There are other shows, but it's the longest, most storied one in existence.
Well, it also, like, Pacific Rim really matches Gundam for drama.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so the same amount of melodrama. It's very equal.
And so that's what I want to talk about. Because I first watched Gundam Wing on Toonami like everybody else as a kid. And I was, like, super into the robot fights. And then, as an adult, like, let's go, I'm going back to all the other things that I enjoyed as a kid. Let's watch Gundam. And it's amazing to me how boring they can make giant robot fights. It's so much fucking dry space politics all the time. Right. And like, I get that I get that they're trying to like make a point, I guess, it's like come for the giant robots and stay for the political intrigue and commentary on war, maybe. But I did just come for the giant robot fights. It's just, I don't know. It's amazing to me how consistently every single Gundam show I've ever watched is super fucking boring, despite giant robots with laser swords. So that brings me to the new one that's come out is Gundam something maybe, Witch from Mercury, I think is what it's called, something along that line. But it's essentially just Ender's Game, but with Gundams and gay. And so far it's been really fun.
Right.
So, if you've never watched a Gundam show, it's early. It's only 3 episodes in, I think. But if you've never watched a Gundam show and you're kind of interested, don't watch any of the other ones because they're all fucking suck. Just start with this one and hope it goes well.
I was just going to say, instead, just watch Neon Genesis so you can determine if we should all die and if teenagers should be fucking.
I was going to say, a YouTube show I've recommended on here before called Toy Galaxy.
Yeah.
They have 2 episodes on Gundam and specifically about how it came to America and how we started with a season that was not like it usually is. It was more like super giant robots instead of the grounded giant robots of Gundam. And those 2 episodes are worth watching if you're interested in Gundam. They're pretty fun.
I had a shit ton of Gundam models as a kid, so I probably would be interested in that.
Man, the shit when Gundam was at its height on like Toonami and shit, just the sheer volume of Gundam shit you could find everywhere was just so overwhelming. I really do miss that.
You bring up YouTube. One of the things I wanted to follow up on, I talked a couple weeks ago about just my YouTube algorithm as a whole. What I've been watching besides actual TV shows, just sitting on my phone scrolling through YouTube shorts, which is mostly how I've watched about, I think, roughly 60% of House of the Dragon. Which, I enjoy the little clips I get, but I don't really want to watch the show. But the thing that's I've amazing to me is I've started, as a rule, anytime Joe Rogan appears in any capacity on my shorts, I no longer just scroll by it. I go in, I click do not recommend channel. And the amazing thing to me on both accounts is I still, I've been doing this for weeks now. I would say 3 to 5 times a day have to remove a channel that's trying to recommend me Joe Rogan. So I'm concerned about 2 things. One, just how much YouTube thinks I'm gonna fucking love Joe Rogan.
Right.
But 2, how many fucking channels are just fucking copying clips from Joe Rogan and posting them on YouTube?
Right.
Both are kind of staggering to me.
Love him or hate him, it may be a great way to make a buck off YouTube.
It might be. Anyway, that's what I've been watching. So we should fucking talk about this when we have more than 2 minutes left at our fucking free Zoom session. But I wanted October to be like themed, like it usually is for, horror shit, because we're bad at doing horror stuff anyway. But next week, I think, is our episode 200.
Oh shit!
It's kind of incredible that we've made it this far. So we might try to do something, a little different. If you have any ideas, or you, the listener at home, have any ideas, send them in. You've got a short amount of time. But thanks, everybody, for listening. Please rate, subscribe, tell your friends about the podcast. If you have any thoughts about She-Hulk, if they're positive, tell us about it. If they're not, just get on Twitter. Do you want to tell us your thoughts about She-Hulk, or you want to give us recommendations for our 200th episode or any episode, you can reach us at realphonies@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Real Phonies, on Instagram, Real_Phonies. Thanks to Zach Evans for art and Brian Velasquez for our theme. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.